It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Come on and wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Hey.
Good morning, Bahamas, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. It is Monday, May 13th. I am your host, Davriel Gardner, wishing a happy Monday to you. I hope that you had a beautiful Mother's Day yesterday. Whether or not you're a mother, there's so much to celebrate. There are so many beautiful women in our lives and in this country who are investing in those families, as well as others around them, these spiritual mothers, the mothers at school, those who invest in young people. We still salute you. We can let you celebrate all month long. People let you celebrate your birthday all month long. We can make this Mother's Month instead of just Mother's Day. I'm flying solo today. Mark is under the weather. I think these are the hazards with having small children. It's that season, but parents, take heart. It's May. Summer is coming soon. We have a great show in store for you today. The TCL Group would like to advise you that the fourth Cat Island Business Outlook will be held in the fall of 2024. But we invite you to save the dates for the inaugural Turks and Caicos Islands Business Outlook and the 16th Andros Business Outlook. For more information, visit tclevents.com or contact Alicia Green at 322-1000. The Nurses Association is here to discuss Nurses Month. We're going to take a look at Robert Roberts' presentation during the recently held Eleuthera Harbour Island Business Outlook, and we'll be discussing jury selection. We'll also be taking another look at the segment discussing digital transformation with Jevon Butler. But now, let's check on weather with Godfrey Burnside.
This is Weather at Sunrise.
Thank you, Davriel. Good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at weather sunrise, high pressure continues to dominate the weather with dry and hot conditions over the next several days. Do expect a weak front to move in here sometime on late Wednesday into Thursday, and that's going to bring some much needed showers across the islands on Thursday. Today, we're looking at mostly sunny, still hot, chance of a few isolated showers over northwest Bahamas, your high temperature 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, a few patchy clouds around, so on the warm side. You look going down to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean. Barbados 90 and 80. In Jamaica 92 and 80. In Trinidad 93 and 76. And the Turks and Caicos Islands 85 and 74. Across North America, Atlanta 79 and 59. In Boston 61 and 47. In Miami 86 75. Dallas, Texas 79 and 63. And Toronto, Canada 65 and 52. As usual, the week, we're looking at partly sunny skies, still hot through Wednesday, and then we expect those temperatures to just decline a couple of degrees because of a big cold front moving in sometime on Thursday, causing some showers and possible isolated thunderstorms across the islands. And then we have the remainder of the weekend looks pretty good with some partly sunny skies, so the temperature again will be in the mid-80s. So for the most part, mid-top 80s at daytime, mid-70s nighttime. That puts her up. When you first look at the weather at sunrise, I'm Godfrey Burnside. Bahamas at Sunrise will be back after a short commercial break.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem, just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Thanks, Godfrey. May is Nurses Month, which celebrates the invaluable contributions and dedication of nurses worldwide in promoting health and providing compassionate care. And this morning, we have with us Nurse Joanna Curry, President of the Nurses Association, along with Nurse Rosemary Josie. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm sure I won't be the first, but I want to say let me be the first to wish you a happy Nurses Month.
Thank you.
So, what inspired you to become nurses? And I'll start with you.
I was inspired to become a nurse, visiting the family islands on a regular basis and having a family member who was the serving nurse in that settlement. But she was not just in that settlement. She had about 6 or 8 settlements that she covered. And it's almost like she had arms of octopus. Everybody knew her, everyone loved her. She worked from sunrise to sunset. And I said, you know what? We have in Nassau, we have so much more nurses to serve the population in Nassau. We need that same level of service on the family of islands. And that inspired me to come into nursing.
And I'll let you say the same as Josie.
Hi. What inspired me to become a nurse actually was my mother. She worked for years as a nurse, as a housekeeping supervisor with the nurses. And I remember at the time when I completed school and in between jobs, she wanted to ensure that her children secure a job. And it was actually her would bring me forward to make the application for nursing. And I find my niche, that nursing was actually my calling.
That is beautiful. I was going to ask if you liked it, but I think it's safe to say that it was right for you.
Yes, it was.
What is the theme of Nurses Month this year?
The theme of Nurses Month this year from the International Council of Nursing is Our Nurses, Our Future, the economic power of care. And it speaks to the value that nursing brings to the healthcare arena. It speaks to the fact that nurses are not valued at the extent that they should be, and that they're not tapped into for the resourcefulness that they have. And so the clarion call is there for governments to utilize nurses, have them in parliament, have them at the decision-making table, have them actually maximizing their potential to turn around the trajectory of healthcare in the various countries. And that is what we're looking for here in our country.
I love that. We were talking about a theme for a celebration, but that was a very powerful, statement about where you're going and being very intentional.
Yes.
But of course, again, we're celebrating our nurses, so I'm sure that we have a few fun things planned. What are some of the events that are upcoming to celebrate our nurses?
Rosie, you want to tell them about what you are doing at Princess Margaret?
Well, at Princess Margaret, we have quite a number of celebratory. We have some of our corporate that are sponsored nurses during our week. We having a competition between the different units, letting the public know and encouraging our nurses of what it is that we do, because we are a caring, passionate group of individuals, and we just want to celebrate each other, our accomplishment, and especially coming out of the challenge of COVID-19, we just want to just celebrate each other and thank our nurses for their dedication and their passion and their commitment to what it is that they do.
You know, you mentioned that nurses aren't always appreciated for what they do, and what they do is incredibly important to our healthcare system and our country in general. What do you think are some things that the public can do to have a better appreciation for what nurses do?
I think sometimes the public may see a nurse at a time that is trying, and the nurse is trying to battle caring for the client who's in a critical situation and trying to allay the fears of the family, as well as dealing with whatever equipment, whatever it is they're dealing with. And sometimes nurses don't come across in the right light, okay? But I feel that if we get to know nurses, we have that conversation. That's where it begins, having that conversation and actually going into the hospital, not just to visit a relative, but just go and walk around sometimes and see what it is the nurses do. And always remember that nurses are not only within the hospital setting. We have nurses in the community who is out there going on home visits, who is out there going to the schools. We have school nurses. We have persons, for instance, right across the road, we have our community counseling and assessment center that speaks to the needs of the mentally compromised persons in our community. So you have persons who are out there cheerleading, you know, and really advocating for changes in healthcare, advocating for the needs of the client, and actually having that in-depth relationship with the client. We consider ourselves sometimes the client's family members. And so a lot of times people don't see us in that light. They only see us as we're serving in our clinical role, but we are more than our clinical role. We are human beings, and so we know what they go through, but we're trying to do our best to get their relative or themselves to the highest level of care.
I love that. We need to give grace to our nurses.
And just to add to what Ms. Joanna said, we need nurses to sing our song. You understand? We have a lot of nurses that really appreciate what the nurses do. In fact, this week on our ward, at the beginning of Nursing Month, we had a patient that actually came back, expressed his thank, and he said, "Sister, I don't have any money to give you all, but I could share the love in my heart." And he said a prayer for us. And I mean, it's awesome because not everything is bad. We're doing an awesome job at the hospital, and we have a lot of our patients who really appreciate it. And I think it's time for the patients really to sing our song. And we will have a change in the perception of how the Bahamian public made a feel of us because of the negativity that would have gone. We do an awesome job, so we don't tell half of the tale.
And speaking of the awesome job that you do, you know, there are many young people thinking about going into the field of nursing. What advice would you have for an aspiring nurse?
We have quite a number of young nurses come into the field of nursing, and we ask them to be true to themselves. We ask them to look at nursing as a calling. You have to be compassionate, committed, dedicated, and have that caring hand extended to our patient. Demonstrate the love and the care so that persons know that you really are an angel here on earth to administer that care to those patients. You know, just a smile, just a touch makes the difference.
And to all the nurses who may be at the hospital or who may be at home getting ready for the day, who are watching, what is the message that you want to give to them for Nurses Month?
We just want to thank them for the awesome job they do, despite the many challenges, despite the fact that sometimes we feel as though we are not valued, whether it's by our employees, by our patient, to know that they are loved. Don't change the care that you give and share to your patients. We love you and we thank you. And somebody's always watching what it is that the nurses do. And there are a lot of us, a lot of patients who are for us than against us. And they are appreciated.
That is a beautiful note. Any final words, Nurse Curry?
Yes, my final word would be to tell the nurses that your uniqueness is what is going to stand out. And so nursing is an art and a science. The science we all learn as we go through our training. The art is how we provide the care that we give to our clients. And so even though we have the basic principles which we provide care, when we bring our individuality, our characteristics, our perks, They call me a comedian at times. Sometimes they call me a disciplinarian. But you have to work with who you are as an individual to transform the life of that individual that you're caring for. And that's what I want nurses to know. Your uniqueness is what is going to be the difference in that patient's life.
Beautiful. Be true to yourself and be unique. Enjoy your patients. And patients, enjoy your nurses. Thank your nurses and be sure to sing their song. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having
us.
And thank you for watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Here are 3 young people who stopped attending high school and got disengaged in their educational journey due to the pandemic. Today, they are proudly taking their walk all over the place because they took advantage of BTVI's Smart Start initiative. All high school students in New Providence and the Family Islands can participate in free hands-on learning to improve employability. Learn basic literacy and numeracy skills and earn a BTVI certificate in automotive mechanics, beauty and construction trades, or fashion in only 14 weeks for full-time participants or 24 weeks for part-time. Don't count yourself out. Do what they did and enroll today. Email smartstart@btvi.edu.ds or call 502-6300 so you can take your walk anywhere in life.
Meet Leno, your bridge to the future. Wealth planning, investments, corporate services, trust services, pension administration, fund administration, outsourced accounting, and payroll. When you think of financial solutions, think of Leno. Local or international, company or individual, Leno can help. Our team of skilled professionals has the experience and expertise needed for you to strive. Your goals are our goals and our priority. Leno will guide you to the right financial solution with the knowledge, resources, and support you need. Give us a call at 242-396-3225 or email us at info@lenobahamas.com to get started. Visit our website, www.lenobahamas.com, for more information today. Leno, your bridge to the future.
Welcome back. During the inaugural Harbour Island Business Outlook, Robert Roberts, Chief Counselor of Spanish Wells, delivered an engaging presentation highlighting the transformation of Spanish Wells. Here's that presentation now.
At the recently Lutheran Harbour Island Business Outlook, Robert Roberts, Chief Counselor of Spanish Wells, delivered an engaging presentation on the transformation of Spanish Wells from a strictly fishing community to a thriving tourist destination and real estate hotspot.
15 years ago, we weren't even in the conversation with tourism, to be honest with you. We were strictly a fishing community, which we still are today. However, the times are changing, and there's certain reasons for those changes, but we've been able to adapt. The township of Spanish Wells originated from very humble beginnings, as you can see in those photos. Some of these are from the 50s and a few from the 60s. It was pretty laid back in the 50s. You can see 2 old men just chilling. In the 80s, the women would quilt, sit around and gossip a little bit. Captains spent most of their day at sea, and the lobster had no value to these men. Now you'll see that shore changed in years to come.
Over the years, fishing evolved from subsistence practice to a lucrative industry supplying both the Bahamas and other countries.
So the economy of Spanish Wells, since I have known it for the past 48 years, has been driven by the commercial fishing industry, spiny lobster specifically. Young men leaving school at the age of 18, 15, fishing was the industry of choice, which is what I left. I left the school at 15, and that's the only thing I ever wanted to do. Daddy sent me away for 2 years to boarding school. 2 years later, I said, no, I still want to go fishing.
In November 1985, Roberts and 10 other young fishermen formed the New Wrinkle Fishing Company.
So this is when changes really came to the local fishing fleet. They invested $40,000 each and built a brand new 76-foot St. Augustine trawler. The name of the trawler was simply New Wrinkle. Now, I don't know if you all know what that means. It was a new wrinkle, okay? It was something new that we were introducing, and we hoped that it would sustain itself, and it has. We've been very fortunate. The beauty of this venture was that the owners all worked the boat, and the profits were shared equally amongst them. Prior to 1985, the formation of the New Wrinkle, all the fishing boats in the fleet were owned by one or two owners. Everyone else was hired crew. So as you can see, this was very profitable for the owners, but not so much for the hired hands. It didn't take long, though, before the entire fleet took the New Wrinkle model and converted over to fishing co-ops. The distribution of wealth had started.
As the Spanish Wells fleet grew, so did the demand for its catch, which included Bahamian gold.
One of the other things we managed to do in the fishing industry was, prior to '85, our product was pretty low in the marketplace as far as quality. So we changed a lot of stuff. You know, we changed the process. We made changes to the process over a few years, and eventually our product was globally recognized as one of the best in the market. This recognition also led to an increase in pricing. Remember, quality should always come before quantity.
Along the way, tourism in Spanish Wells was also experiencing a fluctuating level of demand.
We actually had a product in the 1960s. There were 4 resorts that I recall. Peter Lloyd's Resort. I don't know if anybody here remembers Peter Lloyd's Resort. It was located on the north side of Spanish Wells. I see some people shaking their head. Robert's Harbour Club was on the creek side. Sawyer's Marina was also there. And then there was St. George's Key Hotel. The St. George's Key Hotel, I don't even know when that was built. It's still standing, but it's not used today. With tourism, we noticed difference to our tourism market. It started really in 2009. From mid-70s to about the 2000s, it dropped off. And there was basically nothing. We were just a fishing community. We did what we needed to do to survive. But in 2009, it started gaining ground. Now listen to this, right? When a wholesale liquor license was granted. Donald, I see you in the back there, but facts are the facts. We had been a dry island since Hurricane Floyd in 2009 up until 2013. We were forced to explore other sources of income. The economy had crashed in 2009. The boys went away in March of 2009, getting $15 to $16 a pound. Came home in August of that same year and got $6.50, so less than half. So we struggled for a really, really long time after that. And that's when we were forced to explore other sources of income. You know, restaurants and bars started to open. Locals started to participate in the short-term rental market. Young Bahamians started, at least on Spanish Wells, started to invest in the tourism business and invest in rental properties. Then the salty pig happened. This makes me laugh. I never thought I'd see the day when a pig took home more bacon than me. But unfortunately, that is a fact. That's a fact. The tour guides love it.
Tourism became so lucrative that local captains began using their boats for fishing tour businesses.
Since the guides, our guided and rental fleet came on, we boast of the following. We've got 70 licensed captains, all STCW rated, 47 licensed tour boats, 13 rentals. And they offer the following attractions. which don't only include Spanish Wells, by the way. We take advantage of Eleuthera and everything they have to offer. So they offer Queen's Bath and the world-famous glass window bridge, swimming with the pigs, ocean swings, deep sea fishing, Sand Dollar Beach, reef bottom fishing, sea turtle encounter, the Sapphire Blue Hole and Preacher's Cave, stingray encounter, and a shark cage dive.
Over the past 15 years, the economy of Spanish Wells continues to flourish through the success of new small businesses, springing from increased tourism demand, and as the economy grows, so does the real estate and construction industries.
And despite the COVID pandemic, the real estate market on Spanish Wells has continued to thrive and grow, with sales remaining strong and showing no signs of slowing down. Construction, Spanish Wells, you got to realize, is only 1.5 miles long, 2 miles long, 1/2 mile wide. So when I say that we built 100 new homes in 10 years, some people might say, well, that's not a lot of homes. Well, yes, it is. That's what you call a boom.
Spanish Wells, just a 1/2 mile off the northwest tip of Eleuthera, has a population of 1,600. For generations, this seemingly inconspicuous island has been celebrated as a quaint fishing community, but it is much more.
In the words of Eddie Minnis, Spanish Wells sparkles like a jewel in the sun. 2 miles long by 1/2 mile wide, each square inch is filled with pride. That's why all is well in Spanish Wells.
This is Bahamas at Sunrise.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Alive Business SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Alive Business at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
African Things is your one-stop shop for everything African. Make a bold fashion statement with vibrant colors and intricate patterns inspired by the beauty of Africa. Find trendy contemporary looks for every occasion and enjoy custom tailoring. Shop jewelry, purses, art, cosmetics, and much more. African Things is located in the Dugard Plaza, Palmdale, next to McDonald's. Open Tuesday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come get your African Things.
One thing, two things, blue thing, old things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right into the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. It has been a great show, a great way to start the week. On Monday, May the 13th, I hope you had a beautiful day with your mom, or if you are a mom, that you were celebrated very well yesterday. And if not, I hope your kids are scrambling to make up this week if it caught them off guard, like these things sometimes do. But we had a great chat with the nurses about National Nurses Month. Be sure to love on any nurse in your life and celebrate them for the incredible work that they do. We got a recap from Robert Roberts' presentation during the Harbour Island Business Outlook about some exciting things happening in Spanish Wells, and we have more incredible things to come. We'll be discussing jury selection, and we'll be taking another look at our segment on digital transformation with Jevon Butler. But before all that, we'll take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
This is Weather at Sunrise.
Thank you, Davriel. Good morning, Bahamas. In your second look at weather at sunrise, that high pressure continues to dominate the weather across the islands with dry and hot conditions over the next several days. We do expect a weak frontal boundary to move here sometime on Thursday, and that will elevate our rain chances with some showers and a possible thunderstorm or two. In your marine forecast today, those winds east to southeast are 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the northwest and central Bahamas, northeast to east are 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the southeastern islands. On Tuesday, those winds become southeast to south at 15-20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet in northwest Bahamas, light and variable, seas 1 to 3 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Then on Wednesday, just over that frontal boundary, those winds south to southwest at 15 knots, sea 3 to 5 feet in northwest Bahamas, continuing light and variable, seas 1 to 3 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Your tides just out of low at 6:59 this morning. Next high tide will be at 51 minutes past midday. Low gain this evening at 6:51. Sunset 7:44 this evening. Rising more at 6:26. UV index 8. Your water temperature 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And your moon phase now moving towards the first quarter. Your extended look. Looking at lovely weather into Thursday, and then we expect some elevated rain showers, some cloudiness, and then we go back to a nice weekend in store weather-wise for us. The temperature daytime will be in the mid-upper 80s at daytime, at nighttime in the mid-70s. That pressure rock and follow good weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Davriel.
Thanks, Godfrey. Jury selection is the process by which attorneys choose jurors for a trial, aiming to ensure an impartial and fair panel to decide the case. Joining me now are Miranda Adderley, member of the Bahamas Bar Association and private and public criminal defense attorney, as well as Sonia Knowles, also an attorney. Ladies, good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
So sometimes when you talk about jury selection, everyone just thinks about jury duty and like, oh no, I hope I don't necessarily get called. But for those who are going to participate in the juror process, what are some of the key factors considered when selecting a jury for a trial?
Jurors actually come from the voters register, and as long as they're over the age of 21, they could possibly be a juror. There are some categories of persons who are exempt based on where you may be working, those in the medical profession, those in the armed sector, police, prison, defense force. Anyone who's working in any legal capacity, an office of the Attorney General, anything of that nature, they're exempt. And then, of course, you also have persons who, based on their jobs, may for some reason write in, or even for health purposes, write in asking also not to serve as jurors, and they can be considered.
How do you ensure a fair and impartial jury during the selection process?
That is something that we all play an active role in. As well, the jury pool is comprised of 48 persons. So whenever a trial is starting, there will be 48 persons. We're provided with that list of the 48 persons when we get to court that morning. And as the bailiff, there's select names or numbers from that box, it's just a matter of you looking. You're making a determination just based on body language, facial expression, as to whether you feel that person may be favorable to your client. The thing with jury is that you're seeking justice. You want them at the end of the day to be able to you're hoping that you get persons who are going to give you that attention that you need throughout that trial to return a verdict based on the evidence that was led in court.
I love that. Miranda, I got to work you into this conversation.
Yes.
You're being so quiet.
Yes.
Can you explain to us, you kind of touched on it, but can you explain to us the importance of jury selection, specifically when it comes to outcomes for your client?
Yes, I think it is important that you get fair people, just people who are excited and want to actually sit on the jury. And I think that's one of the issues that we're facing now. Most persons, like you said, they're dreading the day that they get that call to say you have to sit on the jury pool. So we want persons who are motivated, who are excited about being officers of justice and arbitrators of facts. And I think that it's important to look at the issues that we're facing regarding that, such as the amount of money that jurors are being paid. They're presently given a stipend of $15. So if persons are self-employed and have to leave their, jobs or their business to come and sit on the jury for $15 a day, it's already an issue. They're disgruntled. They're trying to rush through the process so they can get back to make their money. So I think that's one thing that we need to look at in terms of increasing the stipend that jurors are getting. I mean, $15 can barely cover the cost of parking downtown. There's also been discussions about the security, how safe people feel sitting on the jury pool, especially with what's happening now with the crime in the country. So I think that jurors have to be also treated with a certain sensitivity and given those securities and protections and maybe special parking and, just some kind of security or bodyguards as they're moving through the courts in these trials.
Speaking of, challenges like that, perhaps you have a reluctant jury, perhaps you discover, maybe some secret bias that you weren't necessarily aware of. How do you overcome some of these challenges that you face when dealing with juror selection?
Well, I mean, recently there was a trial where the jury had to be discharged even after it had started. The virtual complainant had already given evidence. So it's hard to say who is, if persons, which they do have the opportunity to say, I can't sit and hear this case impartially because I'm connected to maybe a witness or to the defendant in the case, but not all the time jurors would say. So it is difficult, and I was discussing with Ms. Knowles that we maybe need to have a kind of questionnaire, some type of pre-vetting of the jury pool before they even get to sit, so that we're aware of certain things that these persons may or may not be dealing with, whether they may have been victims of crime or who they're connected to related to the case, so that we have a better understanding of the background of these persons. How active are they in social media to say they may have been exposed to some of the news outlets out there speaking of cases, which you should bring none of that into the courtroom when you are sitting as a juror. It is really based on the evidence in the court. Right, Sonia?
And also too, with the jury selection, when persons are selected, the judge would always ask those jurors if for any reason you feel you could not be impartial, you would not be, anything would hinder you from rendering a true verdict. The witnesses are called in, the prosecution witnesses are called in, the names of the prosecution witnesses, the accused person. Do you know any of those persons? Even if it is that you may know any of us, any of the attorneys, whether it's for the prosecution, whether it's for the defense, because realistically, anything, there are so many things that can be going on that can plague you, which could cause you, because again, it is that justice must appear. It must, in all aspects, appear that you are receiving justice, that person is only delivering a verdict based on the evidence and not based on anything that they may have brought into that courtroom or into that jury panel from their own personal experiences.
You talked about subtle things down to the facial expressions and the attitude that you receive, but what are some of those key criteria that you look for in a juror?
I think it's the same thing that you also look for in any witness. Whenever anyone takes a stand, what we are looking for and what we tell the jurors to look for too when closing addresses is the demeanor of the person. Because, just from the way someone appears, even just from eye contact. You see at least you're getting their eye contact. If they're turning away from you, you could see when someone really doesn't want to be there. Of course, sometimes we could miss the signs. We could miss things because even particularly as my learned friend referred to the recent case, it's like, how many questions can you possibly ask that would cover every issue or every possibility of there being a bias? So you're doing at the best that you possibly can. Remember now, most of the times those jurors go in, their number is selected. It may very well be the first time, and it should really pretty much be the first time that you're seeing them, so you don't know that person. Yeah. You're just trying to make a decision just based on the way they even walk. They're just you're just looking to see and hope and pray that you're making the right choice. Yeah. Sometimes it may come later on, as it did in this last case, is after the selection, that you may be finding out that there is a possibility of someone not being able to achieve justice or the fairness or just the impartiality.
You mentioned the fact, of course, that the trial had already begun. You had already started hearing from witnesses. Evidence was being presented. We already know that trial process is a little, or overwhelmed. The courts are overwhelmed at this point. And how much does that frustrate the process? You finally have a jury, you're in motion, the trial is moving forward, and then you have to throw all the progress out.
It does frustrate justice because now that complainant who maybe was nervous going to court, had anxiety going to court, has now given evidence and thinking that they've done their part and now they're free to go, now they have to be recalled. Also, how much time is being wasted? Persons have been selected, the judge has sat, defense counsel has been, working, the prosecutors are there, the stenographers are there. How much judicial time has been wasted? How much expense has been wasted? When, if these persons are properly vetted ahead of time, if we're interviewing these persons, if we're putting the time in to, have them complete certain forms and questionnaires about who they are, who they may be connected to, they're given ahead of time maybe some of the names of the persons involved in the matter, so that instead of it just being we're selecting persons based on what we now have learned as practicing attorneys to read demeanor, but you can miss it. How can we close that gap so that these persons are actually properly vetted beforehand and we would know if they are connected to certain persons and therefore can be challenged prior to? Because we don't want to delay cases anymore. We don't want to have, jurors come and then having to be sent home when they're thinking they're about to now hear a trial. We don't want defense counsel to prepare for one day and now they have to go back and start again. So all of these things we do need to look at to improve how things are being processed in the courts.
And again, in that assessment process, what role does psychology play in the juror selection? Like you said, observing their behavior, but using psychological techniques or professional terminology to assess someone's mental state.
We're not, as a qualification for any attorney, it isn't necessary that we do any studies in the field of psychology. And so again, it's only wit, it's only wisdom. Again, you're just doing the best you possibly can to try and see and hope you've made the right selection. Sometimes it can be too that you could be so confident in your case that it doesn't matter who sits there in that jury, who makes up the jury, your client is going to get off. That could be an issue. And so, when you're that confident, it isn't even a matter of really just, trying to assess that person as to whether they will be fair, whether they would be impartial. And also too, I just want to back up. When you spoke too about the mistrial and what could happen, that isn't something that the court would ever consider lightly. When you see that decision being made, and that's something that the judge has a discretion to do. The judge, in their own opinion, can make that call to declare that there will, in fact, have to be a mistrial. And it usually is, too, that the judge will call attorneys on both sides just to let them know what has come to their attention. because like I said, there is so much involved in a trial. In terms of the bailiff, who then has to get those 48 persons and have them there. The police officers who have to go out and get the witnesses for the prosecution. The prosecutor preparing their trial. Defense attorneys preparing their trial, clearing their calendars for that week, 2 weeks, however long you feel that trial is going to last. Also the judge's calendar, just to make sure everything is in place. And so when you see that decision being made by a judge for there to be a mistrial, it's happened because it would truly warrant it.
It's very serious.
It is very serious.
But what I think is important too is that also with the jurors who have sat, whether their trial had come to the end or whether it had, for whatever reason they didn't complete the trial, I think it's important that we start to get feedback from these persons about their experience as sitting as jurors, about their observations of the court, so that we can then use that feedback to improve what the situation is for them in their experience and to improve the whole flow of trials happening and who's being selected and if they're of the right frame of mind and how did they feel after the case and, the performance of the attorneys or the whole court system, and then use that data to try to make certain changes to improve the logistical flow of the trials.
I want to say to the learned ladies, I'm going to steal from you this morning, who have joined us. I feel like I've had a crash course. I've taken jury or juror 101.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you for enlightening me, as well as all of those who are watching, about the juror process. Hopefully more of them are motivated to come out, and hopefully your advocacy will result in some higher stipends, so people feel a little bit more flexible. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Yes.
And thank you for watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
The Euro device is very affordable. It allows you to increase your internet connectivity. You are able to do away with the buffering, say goodbye to the dead spots. It gives them a much more stable connection. Their customers are able to view their digital menus. The establishment is able to stream. It allows for everyone, the customers and the business operators, to have a much more robust and stable internet connectivity.
Hi, I'm Ria Christina, and I'm super excited to be the new host of You and Your Money, local international banks that has actually been closing some of their branches. It actually gives me an opportunity to share my views, my take on the financial matters. Even when we think about what's happening globally, we still have a lot of work to do in terms of having to educate business owners as to the importance, the economic impact, and how it is that we can look at improving the Bahamian economy. $1 billion. That's how much we spend every year importing food in this country. It also gives me an opportunity to have conversations, and that's meaningful conversations with thought leaders within our community, even having to see how it is that we can work together, or even the opportunities that may exist for many Bahamians. So I'm excited to be here and looking forward to the great conversations that's to come.
Welcome back. With me now is Jevon Butler, Chief Sales Officer at Canoe, and he's here to talk about some exciting things as it relates to the digital transformation. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, so what is the digital transformation all about?
So we keep hearing this expression, digital transformation. First and foremost, it is not cryptocurrency. All right, so let me dispel that myth for anyone who thinks it's cryptocurrency. Back in 2000, the Central Bank of the Bahamas focused on a real initiative to transform the entire country and to bring all consumers and users and businesses to a digital realm. So first they focused on creating the RTGS, then they created the ACH, which is the automatic clearinghouse, so that the banks speak amongst themselves. All right, so gone were the days where a check was written, and then that check had to go to one bank and physically be carried to another bank to verify, to ensure that those funds were there. All right, they started communicating in a digital space. In 2010, their revolution then became an evolution, then became, well, we need to digitize users. So that's the evolution of the debit and credit cards, where you saw individuals now getting their banking debit and credit cards so that they could transact without having to carry cash on them. Well, I wouldn't say the final stage, but the next iteration is now the digital wallets, Canoe being one of those players in the space, where we look at the unbanked and underbanked, and how do you cater to them who may not have the same banking accessibility as individuals who have bank accounts, but you still want them to be able to transact using digital currency. The hotels were the first ones who took a position of going cashless, and we're finding more and more businesses nowadays going cashless. So it's important that all users, all members of your society have the ability to conduct cashless transactions regardless of where they are or what it is they're trying to transact.
When you talk about the unbanked or maybe underbanked, naturally you think about the Family Islands.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the present banking situation on many of our Family Islands?
I love my Family Islanders. I think they are the most resilient people in the country, because when I look at some of the challenges that they face when it comes to banking, only the good Lord has them, right? You know, you have individuals who have to drive half an hour, 45 minutes to get to an ATM and pray that their funds in the ATM or the ATM is up and running. The financial institutions, traditional commercial banks, have taken a conscientious decision, because they have to answer to shareholders as well, to reduce some of their brick and mortar footprints in these islands, because they just don't have the population size that validate the opening or the retaining of that physical space. So with the exodus of those banks, now your Family Islanders who pretty much, they do some online transfers, but a lot of businesses still don't accept debit or credit cards, or it's just a hassle for them getting cash. Family Island, I know of individuals who literally fly into Nassau to conduct their business, take care of utility bills and things to that effect, and then fly back to their respective islands. So they really have challenges in the Family Islands, but Canoe and other AFIs are here to provide solutions so that their life can be as seamless as those in New Providence.
Speaking of solutions, how is Canoe or other AFIs assisting them in doing business?
Okay, so I can only speak for Canoe. The other AFIs, they have wonderful portfolios, suite of portfolio of products as well, but with Canoe, we really targeted the small business owner, small and medium-sized business owner, understanding that, hey, some of the challenges that you face in getting, bank accounts set up, or some of the challenges that you face in actually getting credit card terminals, things that affect in conducting digital transactions, let us alleviate those challenges for you. We're an alternative. One of the key products that we feature is what we call our invoicing feature. So once you sign up as a Canoe merchant, you will have the ability to send a hyperlink or to generate a QR code that can be scanned, and your clients have the ability now just to go ahead and pay you using either the digital currency or their debit or credit cards. There are other product features that we offer. The app itself is beautiful, robust. I am a salesperson, so I encourage everyone to download the Canoe app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and start to transact and get a better appreciation, understanding exactly where the country is going, because the world is already there, and how it's going to benefit you, your business, and your family in the long term.
In your opinion, of course, one of the tools that Canoe uses, or I guess works with, is Sand Dollar.
Yes.
Do you feel like Sand Dollar has gained traction?
I think when Sand Dollar was launched, officially launched October 20th, 2020, it was a two-pronged process. Education and awareness campaigns were definitely needed, but they also wanted to go to market. So people are still being informed, being educated on the Sand Dollar, the first official central bank digital currency in the world. All right. We recently came out of relays, and everyone's excited about us always being first. So I think we should be proud of the fact that we created the first central bank digital currency. As more individuals become familiarized, as they get a better understanding of how the digital currency works, they're now embracing it, using it, and finding places where it can be resourceful and convenient in their daily realities.
Speaking of useful, resourceful in daily realities, Canoe recently launched its cashless campus product.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we're very excited with the cashless campus. When the initiative started, I had a full afro. Now you can see It grows on its own now, but it's a very exciting concept, right? So the product itself allows any school to turn their entire the entire campus cashless. And what does that mean? Through the use of a smart ID card, or if you decide to use an RFID band, all of the students on that campus no longer have to carry cash with them. So parents getting up in the morning and having to stop at the ATM so you can put $10, $20 in child's hand for lunch, those days are gone. You now, through your Canoe wallet, connect their smart ID to your personal wallet, and the child just goes to the cafeteria, goes to any of the bookstores, or pays any extracurricular activity just using their smart ID. So it creates a safer campus. It eliminates and eradicates a lot of the bullying, because we know that kids are bullied on the campus. And from the back end, the parents are able to monitor what it is that the child is transacting, right? So if I know that little Billy's supposed to spend $6 a day, that parent is receiving those notifications to their wallet. Now I realize that on Tuesday, Billy spent $20. So I have to ask the question, was today lunch for Friends Day, because you spent more than I had allocated? And it helps the parent now to bring the child into becoming more responsible when it comes to budgeting how they spend. So it's a good step with financial literacy, financial planning, and it makes the campus seamless.
What's next on the horizon for Canoe?
Wow, everything. So we're excited to say that, you know, Carapace Bahamas Limited, Bahamian company, we've done a lot of stuff here, but you may have seen or continue to hear about us looking to expand throughout the region, and those opportunities that are in the region we're going to take advantage of, and we want to carry Canoe first to the region and secondly to the world.
I love it. Canoe is going everywhere.
Yes, and remember, Canoe now is a derivative of John Canoe, so we're carrying the spirit and essence of the Bahamas throughout the world.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling me all about this.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back. Well, it has been a happy Monday indeed here on Bahamas at Sunrise. We've had some incredible conversations and recapped some incredible conversations about important issues in our country relating to our legal system, our healthcare system, and of course, our economy. You definitely want to get yourself registered for the upcoming TCI, inaugural TCI Business Outlook, along with all the other business outlooks taking place all over the country. Be sure to visit tclevents.com for details and make it a fantastic Monday. You know, take a great attitude into the week. Go in with a view of possibility and enjoy yourself.